Dr. Stella, good evening. We're going to start the meeting at 6 o'clock. Yep. This is the regular meeting of the Woodbridge Board of Selectmen for Wednesday, October 14th, 2015. Before we go to public comment, there are two items I'd like to mention on the agenda. First is that the item number 11, the report of the Ordinance Committee, is being delayed until next month at a request from someone who wanted to further pursue one of the ordinances. And secondly, if there is no objection from the board, I would like to add an item to recognize our town clerk, who was named Town Clerk of the Year. So without objection? No objection. No objection? I will ask Stephanie to please come up and join us. So well, why don't you come up here with us, Stephanie? We were notified a few weeks ago that we couldn't say anything, but Stephanie Chorleglio, the Woodbridge Town Clerk, has been named Town Clerk of the Year for the state of Connecticut. Stephanie was given this beautiful plaque from the Connecticut Town Clerks Association. And also we have a recognition from the town of Woodbridge, which I would like to read this evening. Steph. Whereas, and it's a little bit long because Stephanie there's so much to say. Steph? All good, Steph, all good. Whereas in 1978, Stephanie Chorleglio moved with her husband Richard to his hometown Woodbridge. And whereas Steph embraced her new home on Merritt Avenue and the close-knit community in which she and Richie settled, and whereas Steph worked tirelessly to seek improvements for her neighborhood, one of which was the installation of a traffic light at the intersection of Merritt Avenue and the busy Litchfield Turnpike, Connecticut Route 69. And whereas in 1991, seems like yesterday, but these are, right? In 1991, First Selectwoman Nan Birdwhistle appointed Stephanie as town clerk, and she was subsequently reappointed by First Selectmen Roger Harrison, Amy Morella, Ed Sheehy, and Ellen Scalatar to that position, in which her exceptional people skills, kindness, and good humor were quickly appreciated by the community and visitors to the office. And whereas a trip to the town clerk's office highlights her many accomplishments, providing an open, warm, and accessible office to residents, visitors, and people seeking land record information, mentorship of new town clerks and justices of the peace, restoration and preservation of historic town records, spearheading the compilation and publication of Historic Woodbridge Homes, a comprehensive book detailing the history of the many historic homes in Woodbridge, photographs of historic Woodbridge lining the walls, and working with the town, state, and federal officials to provide a solution to flooding of the West River. And we know that's an ongoing project of yours, Steph. Now, therefore, I, Ellen Scalatar, First Selectman of the town of Woodbridge, and on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the many grateful citizens and visitors she has assisted over the years with professionalism, kindness, and understanding, am honored to congratulate our town clerk, Stephanie Chorleglio, on this occasion as she is recognized by her peers and awarded Town Clerk of the Year by the Connecticut Town Clerks Association.
Thank you so much. This is a wonderful honor, and you're all wonderful people, and this is a wonderful town, and I'm very lucky. And
well, so
thank you very, very much.
We're very okay. We will now turn to public comments. Anyone here?
Margaret Hamilton, 28 Park Lane, Woodbridge. I just wanted to say I was at the joint meeting of the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance when the Country Club of Woodbridge was discussed. Two things. I thought it was a great summary of what has happened across the whole timeline. So I thought that was a great summary, great presentation of the facts and where we are and how we got here. The other thing I wanted to say is this has been a difficult topic for a long time. But towards the end of the meeting, I really had the feeling that people were ready to say, here we are, we have to move forward, and we have to figure out what to do. And I felt like that was a common, a common feeling. And I don't know if it was just my perception or not, but it made me very, very hopeful. And I thought that was an excellent meeting, and I hope that's what, the feeling really was at the end of the meeting, but that's what I came away with, and I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Margaret. I share your feeling about it, and I hope the entire board does. Thank you very much. Is anyone else here for public comment? Bob?
Thank you. I know we're on the agenda later on for pool presentation and the fees, but I know that we're not going to quite have the latitude of some of the comments I'd like to make, which somewhat related to supporting what Margaret just said. What kind of a couple of things inspired me to speak tonight was the recent Woodbridge Town News. And on page 6 there, our chairman of the Country Club of Woodbridge Commission decided to go through, some of his thought process why the club is where it's at. And it was, I think, a little bit unfortunate that it appears though he decided to blame the pool operation for some of the golf course's shortcomings. And so, seeing as though we've never actually interacted directly, ever, kind of surprising, in terms of any official business and that type of thing. I've seen him in passing at the club when I've been there working with Anthony Taddy. So when I saw the 175 in pool income before we took over, and said, well, geez, we did a little over 100 last year. I think it was about 107, and this year we dropped down to 83, which is very unfortunate. I said, wow, did we really drop that much? Did we really do that bad? And so, fortunately, Tony was able to provide me the information that was 100,000 and 124,000 the 2 previous years. One of the pieces was kind of missing out of that discussion was when we took over in the beginning of 2014, kind of like just a couple months before, when it was the contract was renegotiated in December, and then we were like in February having to run as quick as we could to get control of the situation. We were unaware that the tennis operation had actually curtailed in 2013, and that had a fairly major impact on membership the following year to the tune of over 20 members. So, okay, we learned that, and actually didn't learn that until after the fact. So we did get tennis up that first year, but not until like mid-July. So we didn't get those members again because someone had to clean the area around the tennis courts. We try to get some resources from some of the town workers, and Tony's able to get them over when they're available. But a lot of the work that had to be done to clean that area was done by a lot of Anthony Taddy's staff and himself. And got the courts up and going. Recreation supported getting the courts going and actually opening the courts so that they can not only be used by the pool members, but they can be used by residents of the town. It's a hard, true surface, so it's kind of a nice, court system that people can use. So now we fast forward to this year, okay? And unfortunately, because the leaves that fell in 2014 didn't get removed, we removed the leaves in around June. I don't know about you, but at home I usually remove the leaves the same year that that they fall. And so that put us behind, and once again the tennis courts didn't open again until July. And once again the tennis pro we had set up wasn't able to be retained, and he was on a commission structure where he was going to get no expense to the town. He was going to get a commission off whatever lessons and that type of thing. So obviously if we were to continue to operate the club, and I do agree with Margaret that if we are going to continue here and decide what we're going to do, and we really do need to decide what we're doing with the club, because operating the club in a kind of pregnant way isn't really working. Things are fixed really on a kind of, and I think Tony you mentioned in your presentation, as things break they get fixed, but we're not really looking forward to really being progressive with that. So I wanted to get that part squared away, and then a couple other things in relation to the country club. I was watching the Board of Finance meeting on July 27th, and it was mentioned that Silver Petroselli report that was completed in 2011. And I believe at the time, and I think Beth, you were, I think, on Board of Selectmen at that point. Susan, I don't know if you were at that time or not. And I think that that report was meant to be kind of a guide. It was in 4 stages: immediate, like in a year, 3 to 5, and then 10 years out for repairs. And I guess when the numbers came in, it was 2.2 million to 2.5. And when I heard at the Board of Finance meeting, when I heard Andy and Matt talking about 5 million, now I recognize there was another report for the PGA, but they're referring to that report as being a $5 million repair. And I could see where people would be, wow, we're no way. So apparently, we didn't do anything at that time. We didn't take it down piece by piece and say, well, let's at least put the roof on so we can at least save the building, okay? And I just wanted to be clear, this discussion is not about saving the pool, saving the golf course. That's not what this is about. To some degree, it's if we are going to save the building or restore it, because that report said that building another building half the size would cost $5.5 million. So I did some quick calculations that, well, geez, if we did put $2 million into that building, would that mean that building would be worth $13 million? Well, probably not, okay? But I'd hate to see that down the road, if we decide to take that building down, that there ends up being a repurposing that could be utilized in a very positive way for the town in some ways. And I hope that doesn't get lost in the discussion. So on the 29th, when the meeting happened, and myself, I know Andrea Weinstein from the Rec Commission attended the meeting, and I did see a couple people from, I think, Dolph Luciani and I think Phyllis Janelle from the Country Club of Woodbridge attended that meeting. It was mentioned that only 7% of the residents use the club. I'm not sure if that point really applies to the discussion, because we didn't intend on being in that business. We ended up in that business. Whatever the mix of those customers were, we want to preserve as many of them as we can, because that's good for business. So I'm sure we don't want to go back and tell all the golfers who 93% of them that aren't Woodbridge residents, please go away so we can lose more money. Right now, we really need them. Okay, so I don't think the point of keeping it open has anything to do with saving it for 7% of the residents. That's irrelevant to the point. Okay. However, when I did look at the Silver Petroselli report, and I'm really glad that tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I guess you're doing a tour, and I will plan on attending that tour. I know there's no public comment, it's a special meeting, so that all of you can see the building, because I know that one of the comments that was made in that meeting last week, someone said on the 29th, is that building still open? It's like, well, wait a minute. We're spending money on this. How do we not know that the building's open? I know it wasn't anyone in the Board of Selectmen that said that. I know that, so I want to make sure that's clear on that. But in reviewing the Silver Petroselli report, I was kind of comical when I went back and looked at it before that meeting. Apparently, part of their charge was they were supposed to look at some of the codes and that type of thing. But in their summary, they said, well, $100,000 for parking. However, check the code to see if needed. Well, why would you tell us we're going to need to spend $100,000 on parking, actually $100,000 to $200,000, if you didn't even look at the code? Isn't that what you were supposed to do when you did the report? Another item in here, and I didn't go through it piece by piece by piece. I came across a number of items and I just got frustrated, and I did put it aside. I guess that's what everyone did with that report. Fixed a fan at the Swimmer's Grill because the cover was missing. Well, Anthony Taddy fixed it for $50.
Bob, I'm going to ask you to...
Okay. I'm almost done. Okay, thanks. All right. The steps in front of the country club, there was $5,000 in there to repaint the steps. Anthony Taddy and his crew did it in a matter of a couple of days and a couple $100 in paint. So I wonder whether or not some of this stuff in that report, if we should have got contractors to give us some bids on some of these things to see really what it would cost of these things to take care of. The apartment upstairs, $5,000 to clean it out. Really? That's like an afternoon's worth of work with a couple of staff members to take it out. So I do think we are kind of at a key point here with the country club. I will tell you, some of the meetings that are now happening are not going to be helpful unless we get to an answer quickly to pool membership and golf membership, because one of the things that's been swirling over us is a black cloud of, I see people around town, geez, when are they going to start building houses? Oh my God, I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't help our membership. And so please, let's come to a decision. If it's going to close, fine, close, okay? It's going to stay open. We need to do what we need to do to support the operation, because we can't keep having Anthony Taddy and his crew trying to pick up all the pieces that we're not supporting with. So I do appreciate, let me share some of these viewpoints. They weren't meant in any type of negative way towards anyone. It's just, I thought that, I typically come here, I try to reconcile some of the facts that I see out there, and obviously when I saw the newspaper and a couple other things that I saw, it inspired me to come and speak, and I'll see you later on.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Is anyone else here for public comment?
Just as a follow-up to that gentleman, and I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Bob, no.
Hi. I didn't even know anything about the 29th meeting. I would have attended it. The two walkthroughs, I'm told, at the country club, one I believe is scheduled for 3:30 tomorrow, and the other one is scheduled for noon, another weekday. Is that correct, Ellen?
I don't think that's correct.
Are there two?
8:00 tomorrow and 8:30 on a Friday.
So I guess my question is for people who go to business and would like to participate, or at least have an opportunity to do a walkthrough, is there a way that another time could also be added to the schedule so that more people, if they chose to, would be able to do? I would love to do it. I can't make those two times. It just seems to be an awkward time for people who go to business to try to get there before, during, after. So I throw that out there. I think perhaps it should be considered so more residents could take a look at the property.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Thanks.
Anyone else for public comment? If not, we can move to item number 2. Dr. Stella.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to report. I know I don't have my tie on, but I have an excuse. Education, as we know, is not restricted to the many walls of Beecher Road School. It happens in the families of the children, but also in this wonderful community where there's so many enriching cultural and educational things. I just came from a nice hike at Alice Newton Trails with about 70 children and their parents and their families. It was wonderful to watch the children and how they learn, how they interact with nature. So we thank the Parks Department, our PTO, and the many volunteers who keep that, what I understand is a private tract of land, in such good shape and for the benefit of our children and our community. Also, this past Sunday, another educational opportunity was the event that took place at Massaro Farm. Again, lots of volunteers working together, and it was a wonderful educational experience for our children and families to get there and interact with nature and where food comes from. I love to go where the children are, and I learn more just by watching them in those kinds of settings than sometimes you learn in the classroom. So we thank you for that. Coming up, we have our Halloween Hoot coming up on October 24th. That's something that the whole community is invited to, and we extend an invitation to our citizens as well. It's a chance to build community. There's the trunk or treat that's also on Halloween, so Woodbridge is to be congratulated for the many educational opportunities that it offers its children. I'd like to talk about teamwork in a way. We had, well, first of all, our building project. Again, from what I understand, we're on schedule. It seems to me we're on schedule. About 90% of the work has been done. Our building committee is doing an excellent job of making sure, working with the project manager and the companies, that the last 10% is done correctly too, so that we'll have our money's worth out of it. There was a leak in the south hallway, the entrance to the pool, but I'm not here to talk about the leak because those things happen. I want to talk about the teamwork that took place. A leak, whether big or small, a lot of water can come out. The response from the town was magnificent. Brad Parsons brought a crew of people over to help out. The fire chief came over immediately, so did the fire marshal, just to check things out. Not that it was absolutely necessary for them, but just to check things out and see how things were going. Our custodial crew came in, so the educational program was not interfered with at all, but again, I want to stress the teamwork that took place with that. My time is up. I'll try to move it along. We're diligently preparing for the 2016-17 budget, the capital budget, and the general budget, and again with the mantra of higher quality education, watching out for the taxpayers. I do want to remind for the board, for the sake of transparency, that we mentioned this before. that we entered the new year with a budget deficit. It was close to $350,000 because of unexpected special education costs. But again, working with our Board of Finance and our liaisons from the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance and the Board of Education, through careful staffing grid and watching the hiring that we did, we've been able to reduce that to a deficit of $244,000. So we'll keep you posted as we go along as far as how we're trying to handle this. As far as our enrollment for the year, last year we had I had alluded to this last month, but I'll give you more specifics. Last year we had a high of approximately 800 students. This year, starting the year, we have approximately 776 children. It's actually worked out nicely because the way the breakout of the population is that we're able to fulfill our class size guidelines perfectly, going from kindergarten to sixth grade. The demographer thought that we might have about 12 or 14 more kindergarten children, but we have 6 classes with 17 children, not 19 but 17. We'll keep you abreast of what's happening. We do have a number of new families moving in, and that's very, very important. That's a very healthy sign. We also will have a demographic study done again, and we'll share it with the 3 boards as we go along. Let me see if I have anything else to share with you. I think that's it. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them. Otherwise,
Any questions for Dr. Stella?
thank you for your ongoing support. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Okay, item number 3, Chief Rowland is here to talk about the truck or treat and related fireworks plan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We came up with a plan that you guys requested a few months ago. I have a map of the property, exactly where it would be, fireworks would be shot off at. The program at the firehouse is going to start from, it's going to be from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. People usually get there about 4:45. We're usually, last year we probably had about 2,800 people by 5:45, so it gets packed really quick. I've talked to the deputy chief of the police department. He has a whole plan together. There's going to be 3 officers, 1 officer. We're going to shut down part of Center Road, so the traffic's going to be diverted in front of the old firehouse. So at Center and Newton, and it's also going to be blocked at Meeting House in Center. So you'll be coming up here. People could park at Town Hall, the old firehouse, the library, Meeting House Lane, and then the overflow be parked at the high school. There'll be an officer out here in front of Town Hall. There'll be one at Newton and Meeting House, and there'll be one in front of the firehouse.
Is that different from last year?
We're going to be blocking the road off because the amount of people that come across Center Road, when it gets dark out, it's dangerous because we're not crossing 3 or 4 people at a time. It's usually we're crossing 40 or 50 people at a time. So they thought it was safer to close that section of road and we'll divert everybody around. There'll be a light trailer out in front of the firehouse to light up the road, so there's plenty of light so nobody falls, and it's a safe environment. The Fitzgerald property, we would have to be closed. The walking trails would have to close at 2 p.m. that day to have time to set the fireworks up for the state to inspect. There'll be a state fire marshal there, along with our fire marshal, along with a fire standby crew for that, which is required. All the proper permits will take place. We have the insurance certificate, which the town is on that, like we would do for anything else. And I don't know, do you guys have questions? Yes.
I'm just curious. I mean, there's a lot of police work here. Are there going to be overtime pay for the police?
That I don't know.
So I just wanted to know
Probably,
about how much that would be.
I don't know off the top of my head how much it would be, but it's most likely gonna be overtime, yeah.
There will be overtime.
Yeah.
How many officers are we talking about? All the,
Three.
oh, just 3, okay.
So,
Go ahead.
no, so the insurance
We figured out.
to which you referred, that's a certificate from the folks who were putting off the fireworks, naming us as additional insured,
Correct.
correct? How about our insurance company? Do they know about this?
Tony, have you talked to them? I have, and they, of course, wanted to make sure we received it.
Right, but other than that, they're cool.
Correct.
And have we, do you have it? Sean, have you given the
I don't
the
actually
insurance?
No,
to
Joe
Tony?
has it on his desk, actually.
Have
He
forwarded to
received
me,
it
Okay.
Monday.
I guess, so on this yellow pin down here, is that where they're being fired?
That's the firehouse,
Where are they being fired from?
where it says the middle pin.
The middle pin, okay.
Yep.
And then, all right. And
We need to have certain distances from the road.
in the
We
fi-
need
in the
to
building.
To where the audience is. You
Right.
gotta have, all the perimeters are basically stated in the state statutes.
Okay.
So that actually, it's like right in the field, right? It'll be
It's
shut off
it's
from
not in the middle of the field. It's off to the side. It's over by the chestnut trees. So it's not in the middle of the field. It's off to the side. It's more toward the path.
Lastly, I guess, have we included in our plan, or should we, some direct notice to some
Walkers.
surrounding neighbors? I mean, I know it's public and all here, but not everybody.
What's going to happen is part of this is also with the PD. There's going to be no parking signs posted on Beecher Road to Woodside Drive on both sides of the street. Newton Road from 114 to Burnt Swamp Road, because they also have the issue there with the Penny Lane parking issues. So they do that anyway on that stretch, and that's it.
Sean,
Yes.
what is the time, the actual time of the fireworks? Because we
The time
do
of the
want to
fireworks
notify neighbors. And
it's going to be right around 7:30.
for how long?
It's roughly 18 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes.
So approximately 7:30 to 8 should cover
Yeah.
the time. And you talked about the Fitzgerald property closing at 2. That's something that the fire department is going to implement, or will there be a police officer also?
The fire department will take care of it, because once the fireworks are brought onto the grounds, we have to have a standby crew and establish that perimeter. The police department wouldn't do that.
I believe, in terms of notice also, Jerry Shaw, Mrs. Shaw, didn't we, I believe we notified all animal owners in the area. Is that right?
You were going to.
But I'm not sure we did yet.
received some objection, as I
We
recall.
did.
Received objection, and I don't know where it's going from there.
No, but I thought we notified anyone else who had,
We
but we'll make sure we do
I would
that.
think a
Make sure
couple, at
it's
least
not-
some direct, just so that a confirmation notice that it's
Absolutely,
happening.
absolutely.
I'm
So-
sorry, I was just going to add to that, letting, if there's a cross-country group that's going to be running in the field that day, after 2 o'clock,
Let
they
the high
can't
school
use
know.
it, walkers with dogs.
Recreation has to be
Okay, yeah,
notified.
all of it.
All on these here.
It's a big notification thing, just so everyone's informed, that's all. I think that's important.
Can we also post
Well,
notice
yeah.
on Fitzgerald Track, let's say a week in advance, letting people know that on that day it'll be closing at 2, just so people who do their farming or they're walking on that day can plan for it?
Right.
Maybe just
Yeah,
post
but
it on
the
idea.
more
there.
people know about it ahead of time, there'll be less issues, I think, the more we tell ahead of time. Just-
Definitely. Susan?
It got covered. That's what happens.
You don't wanna
when
ask
you're
again?
polite, right?
Okay, anything else?
I had one, Sean, I believe there was some kind of test, you had a few fireworks shut off maybe about a month ago, a few weeks ago,
Correct.
and the state oversaw, or the appropriate
Yep.
people oversaw. Was there any problems with animals or any complaints at that time? I know that you tested it in the field.
We had one complaint which got forwarded to me, a letter.
That's the one, I think we all saw that.
Right.
Okay. But there were no additional problems and no.
No, I talked to Terry Cowson, who's the right across the street, and she has a horse and a dog. So I talked to Terry, and Terry was perfectly fine with it. We notified her, let her know what was going on, and she had no issue whatsoever with it.
I have last question. Do you still need candy?
Yeah, we need a lot of candy. We need a lot of candy, a lot of different things. We could definitely
I
use
thought
it.
maybe a plug for that might be.
We could.
You
We
want to
actually
tell
need all the help
for
we
those
can
who
get.
don't
We're
know.
actually getting. Bethany Fire is going to come down for a couple hours and give us a standby crew that night, just because we're going to be tied up there. We're probably expecting in the area 4,000 people as long as the weather's nice. So this
Where will the
is a
people be?
really big event for the town, a really positive.
Sean,
Where will they
when it's
be?
trick or treat, everybody's, in the firehouse or behind the firehouse. Where do you anticipate everybody standing to see the fireworks?
In the back of the firehouse.
But you can't get that many people back there. I guess could you be out in Center Road and see it?
You could, yeah, yep. You
So
could stay
in
in front
front
of the
and in back
firehouse,
and-
yeah. They'll be up over the tree line, the fireworks.
Because at Truck or Treat, usually it's a lot of people, but they come and go, and this could be a concentrated number
Right.
all at once.
So our first year we did about 3,500 people. Second year it rained a little bit. We were about 2,500 people. Last year I think we were around 3,000. So with the fireworks and with the fireworks donated by a resident in town, we're looking probably in the area of 4,000 people plus. So it's really good for the town.
I just want to make one. I didn't know two things. First of all, I'm very happy you're closing the road because I know that that's a dangerous
Yeah, it's just
situation there.
it's right at
That's a
dusk
really-
and
that's a positive step.
yeah.
But to Tony's point about you're accepting donations of candy,
Yes.
I think you should tell the television audience what that means.
So if you go to our Facebook page lays it out for you. We accept candy donations, monetary donations, so we can go out and purchase candy. What we did actually last week is we sent a mass mailing to all the businesses in town. What we're looking at is for like sponsorships. So we're actually selling like trucks. So if you want your business name on a truck for the cost is $500. You sponsor the truck, and basically the $500, it's your sign will be next to the truck or on top of the truck, and the truck is decorated in the back for Truck or Treat. And basically, what the $500 does is it covers the candy for that truck.
And when do you want? What would sort of be the deadline for when you?
The
you
deadline,
don't want,
I
you don't
think
want people
it's-
showing up at 4:00 on Halloween.
No, we get that a lot. The first year when we had Superstorm Sandy, we actually had the candy dropped off that day, and we ended up with a lot of candy.
Nobody could give it out,
Right,
right? 'Cause Halloween was
but-
canceled.
There's a box.
This is a place to get rid of it.
There's a box at the firehouse. The lobby door is open. If you open the lobby door, you walk in. You can leave your candy
As
there.
of right now, there's
As of right
All
now.
great. That's a good thing to tell
Yep.
everyone.
And then
Okay.
there's other donations you can go donate if you can't get candy. If you want to do monetary stuff, that'd be
Yep.
excellent to cover the cost of it. I mean, this is expensive, but I mean, candy is outrageous.
Last chance to give you a plug. I do believe you also, the Fire Association, hand out hot dogs and sodas. And
Right, we're going to do, the menu's going to be hot dogs, hamburgers, cheeseburgers, clam chowder,
And you charge
macaroni and
what for that?
cheese, and it's all free.
Well, now you're going to have 5,000 people.
Yeah. We did it the first year, and it was such a success. But it's good. We enjoy doing stuff like this.
It's a great effort.
We see a lot of bad things, and this is one of the ways we can give back, and it makes everybody feel really good about themselves. And I mean, everybody's on board with it, 110%. And I expect to see everybody there.
Dressed.
But you won't
Dressed.
recognize us.
I'm going to go dressed as a fire chief.
There you go.
Thanks, Sean. Thanks very much.
All right.
Thanks, Sean.
Oh, anything else for Sean? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're at item number 4, which is an update on library programs, and our library director, Eric Worthman, is here. Welcome, Eric.
Hi, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak. Yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some programs we've done over the past few months and another program we're having coming up. In particular, these are programs we're particularly excited about because they kind of, kind of making an effort to turn the library into a bit more of a community center, and these are programs I feel like kind of get us a little bit closer to that goal. So the first thing I want to talk about is the One Book, One Town program, which we did in June and July. One Book, One Town program is you pick a book, and you try to get as many people to read it as you possibly can. And it's usually a book that is sort of has an interesting topic or whatever, so that you can get people talking and that kind of stuff. And so we picked Animal Vegetable Miracle by Barbara Kingsolver, because that was about sort of local food and local agriculture, and it fit with the farmers market we were doing and some of the green initiatives the town has been doing over the past year or so. And it was very successful. We had over 200 people check out the book. I can't guarantee that everybody read it, but they at least checked it out. And we had a lot of people come to the programs. We had over 1,500 people participate in various programs, including the farmers market. We had over 60 people come to a cheese making workshop, and we had over 45 people come to a beekeeping presentation. So it was, by all accounts, very successful, and I'd like to thank First Selectman Scalatar. I believe, from what I've heard, is she suggested the idea to the library. This was before I was here, but it was obviously a great idea, and I'd also like to thank Catherine Ward, our programming coordinator, for sort of organizing it and promoting it and making it very successful.
If I can speak to that, Eric, I suggested it to Catherine, having read about it, but I had no idea what she could do with it. It was really impressive.
She did amazing things. We are going to do another one next year. Probably in March or April. We're still not sure of the details, but we definitely want to do it, and hopefully it'll be even more successful next year. And connected to that is the farmers market as well, which we did, and this was the second year of doing the farmers market, and we did have higher attendance than the first year we did it, which was 2014. So we had, for the first few markets, we had over 300 people at each market, and then after that it did taper off a little bit, but we still had probably around 250 people at each farmers market. And we did do a lot of programming with the farmers market to try to make it more into a community event, especially family-friendly program for kids and stuff like that. So we did a cooking demonstration from Massaro Farm, a beekeeping demonstration. There was a llama there the kids could pet. There was an edible insect presentation from Stanford Museum and Nature Center, which I did take part in. I did eat a few bugs, which were quite delicious. Yes, we tried to make it a sort of a family destination.
For donations of bugs?
They came. Bugs are pretty easy to come by. They're not very expensive. Just turn over a rock, I guess. Anyway, we're going to do it again next year. We are thinking we're going to just do, this year we did June to September. Next year we're probably just going to do June to August. Because after Labor Day it did tend to sort of peter out a little bit. I think people are going back to school and they have other things going on. But we may try to do it weekly next year instead of bi-weekly, so just to make it a more continuous thing. And I think people have asked about that, and there's been some demand for that. So we're excited for that. And finally, coming up, we're doing another Long Wharf collaboration. We collaborated with the theater last year for the Steve Martin play Picasso at the Lapin Agile. This is before I was here, but that was really successful, and we had over 90 people in the center gym for a discussion of the play. We had over 40 people actually who went to the play at the Long Wharf Theater. So this year we're going to do the Shakespeare play Measure for Measure, which is being done by New York's Fiasco Theater. They did a production last year of it in New York. It was very successful and critically acclaimed. So now they're coming to New Haven to do it. And really excited because I think it's going to be very interesting. I think doing a Shakespeare play is going to be very interesting. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. I mean, the themes from the play and also obviously history and stuff like that. You can do all kinds of different things. So we're really excited. We're going to do 2 adult programs, at least at the library. One is probably going to be on November 19th. We're not sure when the second one is going to be. And then we're going to have Woodbridge Night at the theater in early December, where there's a reception beforehand with food and stuff, and then everyone can go see the play. And then we're also going to do a children's program a little bit after that on December 12th, which will be more just about Shakespeare in general, because I don't know if Measure for Measure is the most child-friendly play. So we're maybe do something with like Midsummer Night's Dream or something, but just something a little more fun for the kids. And finally, I just wanted to mention that this is kind of good timing because today is the first day we now have a Long Wharf Pass. Excuse me, that we are checking out from the library, which is good for 2 tickets to each performance of any play at the Long Wharf Theater for this season. So we get basically 2 free tickets for anybody in Woodbridge for each performance of all the plays, and that started today. So if anybody wants to go to the Long Wharf, it's free now, or only for 2 people, but yeah.
Really?
Yes.
You have to reserve.
Actually, it's first come, first serve, and you can get it up to 48 hours in advance. So Yeah, it was just gonna be the logistics would have been a nightmare to have.
So you sort of check it out like a library book, this is mine. and-
Exactly. You
and
do have to- so
form,
basically-
Somebody else gets it.
Exactly. So if you get it, you can get it 40 hours in advance. You do have to call Long Wharf once you check it out, and then arrange seating. They will try to give you the best available seating. There's always a chance that it will be sold out. If it's sold out, they can't, then you can come back the next day and try again, especially on the weekends, that could be a problem. But yeah, and then you can, again, it's for each performance, so the next day somebody else will get it, and the next day after that someone else will get it. And so it'll be really good. I'm hoping it'll be really popular. If it is, we may try to even get another pass next year, and we'll see.
I just want to mention on the Long Wharf Theater Partnership, that idea was brought to me by one of our town residents, Linda Calarco, who is a member of the board of Long Wharf Theater. We do have other town residents, and she was aware of Long Wharf doing partnerships with other towns, and we thought, well, why not Woodbridge? And it turned out to be so successful last year. And again, the library staff is just amazing at making these things happen, with the Long Wharf staff, who are also terrific. And for those of you who were at the program last year when they came and read from the play, it was just phenomenal. People had such a good time. It was so different and informative. So I thank you for doing that. And I do want to mention also our Wisdom of Woodbridge lectures,
Yes.
which are starting next Tuesday, where we're featuring outstanding Woodbridge residents, of which we have so many people to talk about what they've done. So next Tuesday, but the library and the JCC are co-sponsoring these lectures, so they'll be at both locations. And Dr. Mary Papazian, who's the president of Southern Connecticut, will be speaking, I think, on Tuesday at the library on the 20th.
It's the 20th,
Is that right?
yeah.
At 6:30. So I encourage people to go to that. It'll be fascinating. She's talking about the future of the university and education, so should be very, very interesting. Any
Definitely.
questions for Eric? If not, thank you
Thanks,
so
Sarah.
much.
Thank
Very
you.
interesting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Really, really good stuff.
Is Charlie? Charlie's not here, but Susan is.
And I'd also like to bring up our other co-chair, Christina Witt.
Hi, Christina. Welcome.
I'm
You don't
sorry
look
that
like Charlie,
isn't
but
here. I don't know whether that's a good thing or bad thing. I'm going to take it as a positive that he trusts that what we've been doing, or I've been doing for the past 7 years, and Christina the past 2, has been the positive thing. We'd like to ask your permission again this year to host Troop 63's annual Christmas tree and wreath sale behind the old firehouse, and to also be able to post signage along the town roads. And
So do we need a motion to approve that? I would make a motion to.
Can I just ask?
Well, why
a
don't
question?
I
Are there
make
any
the motion,
questions?
then
Oh,
you can
fine.
ask.
All right, fine, sorry.
who,
I'll make a motion to approve the request for holiday tree and wreath sales.
is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so, and the motion is in accordance with the memo we have
Correct.
from, from Troop 63.
Nothing about signage in the memo, but we could add that.
But we'll add
Right.
signage.
Because everything else I think is, it's all
Okay.
good. We do it every year.
We have a motion and a second. Maria, did you want to
Right.
ask something?
How many trees do you average sell in this?
about 300 every year.
And they cost how much about in average?
It's a range, it depends on the height. We have, we increased our height last year up to 14 feet. So 5 to 14 feet, and it depends on the quality of the tree and such, so.
And they
But the average price is probably about $60.
very good.
Do you need dates?
I think Maria's still asking.
What profit do you gain? I mean, after all the costs are done, I'm just curious right now. It's a great effort.
Yeah, it depends, because we have our scouts also selling wreaths and things like that, so there's a number of factors that are built in.
Nice.
I'm sorry, Maria, I thought you were finished, I apologize.
I'm done.
Do we need dates for when this happens?
That's a good point, Susan. Do you have specific
We
dates
open
that
the
you-
day after Thanksgiving, and we're hoping, and I hope I don't jinx ourselves, we hope to close on by the 18th, which I believe is the Sunday of December.
It's the 20th.
20th
20th,
of
okay.
December. We will start probably 2 weekends prior to that and setting up. We work with the park department to leave the tables up there and make sure that we leave it in proper fashion, and we bring the trailer in and out and so forth, depending on whether we hope that everything's cleaned up and done by that point. And here is Mr. Whiting himself.
So you're saying that you're going to start the sale the day after Thanksgiving, but the weekend before Thanksgiving and the weekend before that, you want access to the property? And what
Yeah.
about the signs?
We'll probably start about the second week of November, start putting them up around town.
Okay.
So the November 13th is a Friday. Is that what you're talking about, the second weekend?
Yeah, thereabouts.
Yes.
And again, it depends on weather and, we try and work around anything that's happening.
I have one question about the cost of that.
Yes.
600, was that the number last year as well, was it 600?
Last year.
$600 towards the cost of
For the
the
trailer.
It was the
Plus
same
there's, right, plus there's other costs for, it says it in there,
Electricity.
electricity and,
And the porta
Porta
potty.
potty, right.
yeah.
And 600 was the number we used last year as well,
For all those things?
for the trailer rental.
No, that's for the trailer.
About
I mean, it's about 1,000 after you add the other costs in.
The porta potty, they're expensive. Don't you think we should have just open one of the public buildings nearby, like the library, do you?
Well, the porta potty also is used when they have Santa at the firehouse and things like that. So it is utilized for other events.
It's a bad
Oh, I
pun,
see.
but you need overflow.
So, the total cost comes to, the total cost is a little over $1,000 that the town would be allocating.
Academic question.
So, Joe, your motion, a friendly amendment to your motion to incorporate the dates that have been
That's absolutely
discussed?
fine, and the sign, everything else seems to be in there, so.
And Susan, did you second or Beth? Who seconded?
I did.
So the second with the dates?
Who
is-
seconded?
One of us.
I think you just.
I thought that.
Oh,
I think that.
yeah, I thought it was that.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Charlie, did you want to say anything?
I hate to say I'm getting to be an old man.
You said it was either a good thing or a bad thing that you weren't here when we started.
They did fine.
I appreciate everything the town has done for the Scouts. And on my behalf, I have a good group taking over big steps that I have taken to keep everything nice here in town. Thank you all.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks.
Anything else? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is Lisa Connor with an update on the Ad hoc Energy Advisory Task Force. Good evening.
Hello. I'm here for the Energy Advisory Task Force for 2 reasons. The first is to forward along 2 awards that the town has received. Laura Ferrante and I this morning, on the first Selectmen's behalf, went to an award ceremony for Energize Connecticut, and Woodbridge received awards for the progress that we've made in promoting energy efficiency and renewable energy in town. So, well done, everyone.
Thank you.
And then second, somewhat related to that, I'm here to ask the Board of Selectmen to help us hold a light bulb exchange for town residents. It's the next event in the Woodbridge Energy Challenge, and it does require the expenditure of money. Fortunately, Woodbridge has earned enough energy efficiency points as part of the Clean Energy Communities program to earn 2 $5,000 Bright Ideas grants, which can be redeemed to use for energy savings projects. And the task force at our last meeting voted to recommend that the Board of Selectmen authorize the town to redeem one of those awards and use $2,548 of the grant to buy light bulbs that can be distributed to residents as part of a light bulb exchange. We're proposing to hold a light bulb exchange on Saturday, November 7th, coinciding with the Senior Center Holiday Fair. The thought is that holding the 2 events together will help to draw traffic to both of them. At the light bulb exchange, residents attending would receive 2 free 75-watt equivalent LED bulbs per household. They would bring in old bulbs, incandescents, to turn in if they have them, but it's not essential. There will also be a vendor on site to sell additional LED bulbs at a discount for people who would like to buy more. They will be available only as supplies last. And the amount that we are requesting, $2,548, is enough to buy bulbs for 5% of Woodbridge households. That's for 182 households to receive 2 bulbs each. Typically, when UI holds these events, they suggest that people buy enough for 1% to 2%, but because Woodbridge has been participating very extensively in the program, they think we should go higher. That's why we're suggesting 5%. Come early. These events tend to be very popular, and we will run out of bulbs at some point. United Illuminating is going to send out a postcard to town residents announcing the event and that people can bring in to get their free bulbs. Betsy will be publicizing it through the usual channels, Facebook, the e-newsletter, press releases. And I think it'll be a very successful event, and it'll be a great opportunity to reach people with the other pieces of the program, the energy solutions and the solar program.
Great. Susan?
I assume either UI or you are going to tell everybody if they were to go buy these bulbs somewhere, what they cost. They're extremely expensive. And that's why when you get 2 free ones,
it's worth
a lot
coming
of money.
to. And we have opted to go with the 75 watt equivalent bulbs, which are more expensive.
Right.
They're brighter, and people tend to be much happier with them. And we'd like, for those people for whom it's a first experience with LEDs, we want it to be a good experience. We want them to, not be complaining about not being able to read.
Well, there is a transition curve.
There is.
I know the transition curve, but it's not nothing to get to. I mean, it's probably like
Absolutely.
$50, $60, right?
Right.
No. I'm not sure where you're buying your bulbs, but come to our event.
$25 a piece.
No.
No, they're about $14 or $15, right?
Well,
I got them.
Well, you better go to the fair, Susan.
I'm telling you.
I'll sell you bulbs.
She's got this certificate.
Well, even if it's $15 a piece.
Yeah, we are buying them at $7 a piece.
Unless you get them through the solar challenge, and then they sell them.
Right, we got them
cheap.
through our
That's the way we
solar
did it.
challenge, and it was great.
Through the
We
Home
did
Energy
that.
Solutions
Right, the
program.
Home Energy Solutions.
It's wonderful.
Are there other questions? If not, thank you very much. I know Laura couldn't be here this evening, but we thank Laura also, and I know you have a new committee member.
We do, Paul.
Rossi, and you're all doing just great and
We're very
creative
happy to
work
have
for
him.
us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, in terms of the motion, before we allocate, if that's what we decide to do, the $2,500 and $4,800 from the $5,000 grant, there is an agreement that we need to sign with United Illuminating. Jerry, do you want to?
Today, and it's got to be faxed to them tomorrow morning.
Right, and this really, it continues something that I believe Ed Sheehy signed and committed to before.
In 2012, yes.
You just handed it, can Jerry or somebody who might have read it already give us some synopsis of
I read it very quickly, so you
Yeah, I looked at it quickly
yes,
as well. I received it this morning. Essentially,
It's
it
basically
is
the same
the
one
town
we paid,
saying we will
so.
accept this grant, and we agree that we will use the money for, in the first event, the light bulb exchange, and in the second event, another energy savings project. In all likelihood, I think an audit of town facilities.
And Lisa, did you say there were 2 5,000 grants that?
There's another one sitting there. There is no timeline for
So this would
redeeming
be
it.
part of the use of the first one?
Exactly.
And there's another one waiting for us?
And we're well on our way to a couple
This is
other
a continuation of the
rewards.
agreement that's already in place.
And we do commit to reducing our energy usage over a period of time, beginning in 2012. So clearly...
And that's a commitment the town has already made when we agreed to be a clean energy communities town.
So it's really a continuation. And the other question I have, Lisa, is if we do this, do we need to indicate what we're doing with what I believe is the other $2,452?
No more than is already indicated in the addendum to that document. But I think Betsy can answer that better.
Right, so we've been in discussions about doing either an audit or a project, and UI is aware of that. We just need to use the money within a year of accepting it.
Okay, so we can come back on the remainder.
Right.
All right. So Is there a motion to authorize the first selectman to sign the agreement between United Illuminating and the town and to allocate $2,548 of our first grant towards light bulbs for the fair as described by Lisa?
So moved.
Second.
Joe?
The agreement signed by Ed Sheehy is 2 pages.
Yeah, this is a little more.
This agreement is not the same agreement, so I would just add to that, so long as town council has the time to really read it and understand it and make sure that it's something that we should
It was
sign.
handed to me before.
I'm just saying.
It's a good,
That's not the
good,
point.
good
It's not an extension, it's a totally different agreement.
Well,
I'm sure it's fine,
right.
but I don't think we want to authorize signing something no one's really
Red.
read.
Right.
Reductions are the exact
The
same
reductions
thing.
are the same, but I think that's,
Right.
so who made the motion?
We'll take a look at it.
I made the motion.
Do you accept
I
as a
do.
friendly amendment, subject to town council's review at the end of this meeting?
I'm
So
fine.
you said, yeah.
Whatever he wants.
And who seconded it?
I think I did.
And are you take this friendly amendment? All right. Any other questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Lisa.
Thank you very much.
All right. Anthony Taddy, welcome. And Mr. Taddy is going to update us on the pool results and activities this summer. I think we had talked about it at the last meeting, that Anthony would be coming today.
Okay. First of all, I just want to thank everyone for allowing me the opportunity to come in front of the Board of Selectmen. Mrs. Scalatar, Tony, I really appreciate it. My presentation tonight, I have a couple main points that I like to accomplish. When I first start the second slide, I like to start with a smile and everyone have a good laugh, and I think you will. Secondly, I like to present my main thrust of the PowerPoint presentation is to present as many facts as I possibly can about what our staff did to really assist in helping make the country club successful. And no slide in any way is trying to say that we were trying to do something better than someone else. It was all focused in the positive, trying to do what's best for the town of Woodbridge. I worked at the club for 17 years. I love the club. 10 years as a private club, 7 years for the town of Woodbridge. For the Tootsie, 26 years younger. Okay, who is this? My mom will kill me if I show this slide. It is our principal, Mariotti, was retiring at 500 Blake. My good friend and colleague, Lynn Piasek, had the idea, let's dress you up as Tootsie. So that is me, and she promised the eyelashes would come off, and they didn't. Lynn was great, so it was good.
You look better there.
Thanks, Tony. I appreciate that.
What did you do with the dress?
Lynn still has the dress. Yes, exactly. It was great. Okay, Country Club of Woodbridge. I feel it's a huge asset. Beautiful golf course, banquet tent, locker rooms, great food opportunities for restaurant upstairs, employment, high school and college students. The last point I just want to make a mention, the Beecher renovations and town programs. This past summer, for the second year during the Beecher renovations, the school was closed. At the Country Club, we did everything we possibly could to accommodate the programs that would normally run at Beecher. My day sometimes started at 5:15, getting the building open. We opened for early bird swim from 6 to 7:30. The Woodbridge Aquatic Club then rented the pool and they came in for 2 hours. After that, we bussed in 2 different bus loads of children from Amity High School. So before we really got started in the day, we probably had close to 300 people use the pool. So I really firmly believe it was a huge asset to have that, and who knows what could happen in the future. Guy, I know hopefully with no more renovations, but at least we were able to accommodate those programs. Where do we start from? I think hopefully my dates are correct. The club closed, the town purchased. 2008, I signed a contract with New Haven Country Club. July 2009, I met with Matt Manchetti, and he wanted to open up the pool. On August 2nd, my wife and I's anniversary, we opened the pool, but I was still working at New Haven Country Club, and because my love is working for the town of Woodbridge. I worked for it for 26 years. I resigned at New Haven Country Club, which was a lot easier than what I'm doing at Woodbridge, and moved forward. Our main focus has always been customer member satisfaction. It always been. Like at Beecher Road School, we make a decision, what's best for the child? Not what's best for the teacher, what's best for the child. We have beautiful locker rooms, clean. We always promoted clean, balanced water, friendly, mature staff, towel service, serving our members, maintaining a high-quality environment. We did have some obstacles to customer satisfaction. I said the Country Club of Woodbridge provided me and my staff a great opportunity to learn how to overcome obstacles. Okay? As we know, there's quite a few things that need to be fixed at the Country Club. Okay? And I'm sure the last comment, has anyone heard anything that need to be fixed? Responsibilities. I eagerly accepted a myriad of responsibilities in 2013 when we switched from me working to Billy Casper to running the operations through the Rec Commission and the Board of Selectmen. I would like to share with you some facts, some obstacles, things that I have eagerly assumed when we renegotiated that contract. I put the little switch in for Dr. Stella. That's all I could do, Guy. You do a lot more, but managing the pool, 2009, member usage. I have numbers if anyone ever wanted it for all 17 years, but you can see the first couple years right through 2012 where we had 9,402 people. 2013, it dropped a little bit. We lost several members to the Woodbridge Club because the tennis program was better. At some times during that period, we built new gates for the front of the pool. Myself and my staff painted the kiddie pool about 4 or 5 times. We have a beautiful stainless steel gutter system that was put in about 20 years ago. We took it all apart, we cleaned it. It was a huge savings to the town. Probably would have cost about $6,000 that myself and my staff we did, and that stainless steel gutter system would last for the next 20 or 30 years untouched. We built the tent. At that point, the 18-wheeler couldn't get up to the pad. My staff and we moved the tent up to the site so they could build it. There were some things that we didn't think of. Some railings near the slate area where people could fall off. Our staff built those railings to make it more user-friendly. One thing that really was close to my heart, we had a beautiful, beautiful oak tree dead center. First year, Mr. Manchetti cut the tree down. Don't know why. It was beautiful. The country club loved it. But then the stump stood there. Okay, and it was an eyesore. If you bring us back to customer satisfaction, I didn't want this to be there. Well, it would have cost at least $1,000 or $2,000 to take out the stump. We rented the stump grinder, we grind it, we put topsoil, and we seeded it. We tried to get that out of the face of the members. 2010, we put a new motor. It was a little tricky because at that point MDM was running the country club and they were responsible for some things and the town were. Well, to make a long story short, we were opening on opening weekend and the motor went in on Friday and we were opening on Saturday, which usually takes about a month to get the pool up and running. Well, we had a miracle work day, okay, and one day we got the pool open on Sunday for our members. We built a family changing room. We built some crosswalks so members could access the pool safely. Myself and my staff, we removed some drains near the putting green. Did we have to do that? No, but our members were walking there and they were tripping, and it's something that we were able to do at a low cost. This is a huge one, protecting the town for potential liability. We were coming to a close in our season, and I bought and built a fence when the Golf Commission told me they would not be installing a permanent fence to secure the facility for the season. That was unacceptable to me at that time. We had a temporary fence. I wanted Orange Fence to come in there, put the fence up so no one went in the pool. It wasn't happening. So we went out, we bought 2x4s, 2x3s, welded steel wire. It didn't look pretty, but it preserved and it made the facility safe for that particular time. And again, please, I just want everyone to know what our staff has been doing throughout those years. Managing the pool and other areas, please understand I eagerly accepted a lot of these jobs to help out and to be a point person for the town. Our brochure this year didn't say the pool, it said pool, golf, tennis, and banquet tent. And that was a picture that was taken last year. We had a member work day. Mr. Adamovich pitched in. We spread mulch around the facility. Tennis. The Rec Commission gave us about $5,000 to work with to get our tennis program up and running. It was late March when there was still snow on the ground. Putnam Courts couldn't get to us. I made a decision. We didn't have the brushes, the right brushes. We didn't have the chemicals. We didn't have the right brushes for our roller to maintain the courts. Putnam Courts couldn't get in there. What we decided to do was gut this entire building. We used that $5,000, about $4,000 of it, to purchase equipment that we needed to brush the courts, brush the line, maintain the tennis. And previous to that, we were not responsible for that. We have gorgeous locker rooms. The men's locker room we clean on a regular basis. Here's my friend, Mr. Capoloni, 87 years old in the ladies' locker room. What a worker, okay? Just to like a little more, our staff did not take over cleaning the locker rooms because Mr. Taddy liked cleaning toilets. Even though I do clean a mean toilet, okay? My wife wants me to do it more often though. Our staff took over the cleaning of the locker room because the cleaning staff that was hired by Billy Casper during those years did not get the job done. The staff was not properly supervised. The chef was supervising them, and they didn't hold them accountable, and it made us look bad. And I give an example. At one point, I know someone sent Mrs. Scalatora a picture at that time of the locker rooms being dirty. At that point, we realized we needed to take over and to make sure it was clean. And we do it on a regular basis. I give us a picture of the women's locker room. We also took over the responsibility of managing 500 lockers. It was a huge responsibility. They were in shambles. These keys were taken, moved, so I moved them all into our office, and we managed them, and we sell lockers for $75 a piece to golf, pool, and those kind of members. This year we had to replace the kiddie pool and the main pool computers. For safety, right near our laundry room, building maintenance put a beautiful solid metal door so no one could get back in that area. These are all things that the Rec Commission and the town, we did a walkthrough and we identified things that make it safe. Eileen's pond. The pond wasn't in use. Eileen was going to donate some hours, so myself and a few other people donated money to purchase a liner and to get some water in it. It was a major focus when you come in. Those pillars, Mr. Adamovich sanded them, scraped them, we painted them, because everyone's walking through there, and we wanted it to look nice. Does it have koi like it did when it was a private club? No, but at least the water's running. We also put a keypad from the access to the main hallway to where workers go, so no one could go on the back. And at first I thought that was going to be a huge nuisance. Afterwards, I realized it was a very smart move. We created a water feature when a line broke, and we did it on a very small cost for the kiddie pool. Our staff also did some work with the cement to bring down the cost for the town. This was a picture of the pool in March 18th, 2015. We had the winter kept dragging on. Okay, there was ice all around. We did our best to open an open house, to have an open house for people to come and see the pool, see the facility. Again, that was an area that I was really leaning on the Rec Commission because the marketing previous to this was not my responsibility. We had some other obstacles. We realized when we were putting the sandwich boards out that it was right at the time the town was having elections. There was no sandwich boards. So I'm like, oh, what's going to happen? So we took 9 hours and built our own sandwich boards. I just want to say we didn't stop right there. We wanted to promote it, and now we have it for the town to use. Massive spring cleanup this year because we had a very late winter. It was dragging out. Putnam Courts couldn't get in there to clean. The town building department was preoccupied with the Pease playground and a myriad of other things. Leaves were not cleaned up from the previous year. Our staff took lots and lots of hours. This is the backhoe that the course superintendent allowed me to use to scoop up piles of leaves for hours upon end just to get tennis up and running. And it was up and running later, but this was an area we never really did before. So we eagerly did it with a smile on our face, and we got tennis up and running. We also did something that we never did. Putnam couldn't nail the courts, so our staff took 8 hours to hand nail 2,000 nails each court. Hopefully Putnam can do it next year. We built wooden tennis balls so that when we reserve courts, people can reserve courts. This is a small little presentation. Starts at the road. And maybe some of you in the audience or here might think I'm corny or might think I'm crazy for doing this, but I took responsibility to rebuild that sign every year for 7 years, put mulch around it, clean it, trim the bushes, so when people pulled in, it started at the road. Okay, I know there's things that had to be done to the building. However, we wanted to make it, the presentation start at the road, a pleasant one. We also jumped in and trimmed the bushes to the clubhouse. Around the pool, painted some of the building. At the beginning of the year, we power washed a lot of the fences. During our open house, I know Tony and several people that walked around, we had a leaning tower of Woodbridge that was leaning. Okay, we knew something that had to be done about it, but we were kind of like pushing it off to the back burner. We thought we could cut a little bit off, and then it came crashing down. Okay, came crashing down. Our staff came in, we moved it. Building maintenance took it away. Building maintenance did a beautiful job building a fence to kind of close off that area. And I picked a nice, cool day for my son and Robert and Anastasia to paint. It was 98 degrees. They were dripping. We painted the fence, but it walled off that area. The front steps of the clubhouse. Again, we didn't do this just to find another project. People were pulling into the front and were selling memberships, and it looked like the whole place was closed down. It hadn't been touched for years. We power washed it, painted the risers, painted the silver, the yellow. We did it for about $500, and now the area looks nice. We also weed whacked the lower parking lot on a regular basis. Robert Klinger and staff, he runs 2 salad shops in New Haven. He is a dream come true. Last year we started the food and beverage. We had to clean out the snack bar. We didn't have food and beverage. Okay, Dr. Stella loved the pastries when we did that. We did about 12 birthday parties, meaning that families came into that were members or not members, and they wanted to have parties at the pool. Robert provided a nice low-cost meal for the kids. We charged them, if they weren't members, a fee to use the pool. We made a couple $100 on the events, and it was really nice. People in the community loved it. Last year, I made a goal that we would do about 10 events. We did about 5 or 6, and now Billy Casper did over like 20 or 25. This was our Beecher Road School retirement party this year of over 175 people. It was beautiful. I'm sorry to see some of the people retirees go, Rick Wood and many other people. However, it was neat, it was clean. Everyone wanted to know where the food came. Robert did the food for over 175 people. No complaints, beautiful china, beautiful silverware. Courts 5 and 6 were an eyesore when you came down Woodfield Road. There were 2 unused tennis courts, and it was like, okay, let's go to the club. Oop, don't look there. they were in bad shape. We cleaned it all out. Dennis, who's the course superintendent, allowed me to use the course Sandstar that rakes the bunkers. We graded that area. He let me use their backhoe. I ripped the bushes out along there so we can get a little more visibility in. In the town plan, there was a plan to put in a beach volleyball court. Mr. Adamovich said we had about $3,000. I said, well, go for it. I ordered like $2,980 worth of sand, and we did all the work free. Here's the little army coming from Willimantic. They dropped it off, and before know it, 8 hours later, we graded it. And a week later, we had volleyball playing. The handsome professional volleyball player is on the left with the yellow shirt. That's Jim Franco from the rec department. If you didn't know, he's a volleyball specialist. And it's great. We've used it for the remainder part of the August. The net is down right now. We probably have to spread some more sand on the edge. But it was an amenity that we put in for our members. Another little bit of challenge we had. We have a beautiful 1 million BTU heater. We put a new heat exchanger in about 3 years ago. Every year it needs regular cleaning. The company would normally charge about $4,500 to clean it. I call the company, 3 gallons of white vinegar, power washer, take it apart, clean it, 2014, 2015. Here's the heat exchanger. It went down August 12th. We had it up and running the next day, and it's all set for next season. We did our best with what we had to make sure our members had heat the last couple of weekends of the pool. Our pool queen, Mrs. Cherno, is on the rec commission. Love taking pictures, so I wanted to put this in for Jane. Kitchen, under the direction of the rec commission. For years, for the past 7 years, people have used the kitchen, in my opinion, and be taking some things. When the town purchases it, it belongs to the town. I've seen people put things here, put things here. Finally, under the direction of the rec commission, towards the end of the season, we took matters into our own hands and gutted the kitchen, gutted the 3 coolers, and we have all of the assets for the town of Woodbridge locked up in the cooler. I showed Mr. Genovese, and I know you'll go through the walkthrough. I'll be glad to give the key when you're going through that. The kitchen is neat, it's presentable, and if someday we're not going to use the clubhouse, maybe we can sell the stuff in there to the residents of Woodbridge. But at least you're not going to go through the walkthrough and see the delicious soup. We had like a 50-gallon bowl of soup that was there when it was the private country club, and it was disgusting. Okay, so my staff took it out and I cleaned it. It was not fun. But at least the kitchen is neat and clean, and we have the assets of the dishes and the glasses. We didn't have to do this. We had outings last year late into the season that people used some of our stuff without asking. These are dishes and glasses that are property of the Woodbridge. If we open up and we eventually sell them to taxpayers, the town's going to benefit from the finances. But we took the initiative to at least make sure they're safe, they're locked up, and no one's going to use them. Fun in the Sun, Labor Day 2015 was an awesome, beautiful sunny weekend. Brian Moran, one of our members, donated a popcorn machine for Saturday. It was well taken. Every year I donate a complimentary ice cream bar. There's my wife and Mary Alvarado and other people staffing it. We must have served ice cream to about 150 to 200 people. Just a little token of our appreciation. There's my son Matthew Taddy. We did a special event this year of races. We didn't do traditional pool races. What I did is I got cardboard, duct tape, and some kickboards. And if you look on this blog, Jonathan First, who works for the high school, Dads for Creativity, he wrote, a hot windless afternoon at a local pool 1 week before the start of school. A resourceful father, educator, community activity challenges everyone creative skills. Oversees the pool, gave assorted kickboards, duct tape, boxes. It was a huge hit. It was a blog about creativity. An hour people built, and Mr. Cooler at the Beecher was eager to get rid of some of the cardboard that we had after the renovation. Building, duct tape, cardboard, and here's the races. They floated, went across the pool, came back. It was a huge success. Just a small little thing. The cover weighs about 900 pounds. For the past 7 years, I bring in my own backhoe, move the cover up, get it neat and clean so we can protect the asset of the pool. We serve food in the spring and the fall from near the driving range. We move our pool tent to there. Tuesday night, we took it down and put it upstairs in the clubhouse. Our lounge chairs that are valued at probably $400 to $500 each are neat, clean, stored away for the winter. We had problem in the previous years of pipes breaking. We have a permeable cover. Water goes through it. As it rises, sometimes there's a need of a pump down. If these pipes break, they're scheduled 80 12-inch pipes, incredibly expensive. Well, after them breaking several years, I finally said to the crews, no more winterizing. Take them all apart. Water spills over, we're not going to have breakage in the spring. This is a picture. Our pool's covered. Our banquet tent, Billy Casper will be responsible for taking down fairly soon. My last slide here, I feel we're at the fork in the road, and it kind of dovetails into the last meeting of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance. Please approve a 3 to 5 year capital plan. You can read the rest. I and my staff have done everything we possibly could done, but we need the town to either make a decision on the path they would like to take for the facility. Lack of a decision has caught up to us. It's hurting pool memberships. So I'm really thrilled to hear the conversation last week about making some progress on where we're going. I wanted to feel that we could put our head down on the pillow after 7 years, and we did everything we could. And I believe everyone at this table know our intentions were good, and we're not bad-mouthing anyone. And we would help out in any way we can in the future. That's my presentation.
Thank you.
Work at my house, you can help out.
Is it, Mrs. Scalator, do I have your permission to show a 30-second video without the cameras on?
We can't do that.
Can't do it. Okay.
Now you have our
I know.
Anthony, do you want to come sit down so people have questions? Thank you for that presentation. We've heard a lot about what you've done, but seeing it really brings it home. It really illustrates. Tony, can you get the lights?
Sure.
Are there questions for Mr. Taddy? Okay. I just wanted to clarify one thing for people who don't know. You showed the steps up to the front door and painting and all, but those doors are not open. People can't go in there, just so people understand that it's for the visual, but not for utility.
100%.
Yep. Okay, if there are no questions, thank you very much for all the information. We'll now go to item number 8, and I think now you'd like to tell us what you're proposing for pool rates. I do want to say one thing about the presentation, though. I was under the impression that you were going to talk about the financials,
I'd
the
be glad to talk about that,
2015
too.
financials.
Yep.
So maybe you want to do that now?
I'd be glad to.
Okay.
I'd be glad to. Yep. So there's two parts to the financials. Our revenue was down this year. I met with Mr. Genovese about 2 or 3 weeks ago before the Rec Commission meeting. Our revenue was about roughly $83,000. There might be some more money coming in to add that, but I'm going to use the number that Mr. Genovese gave me a few weeks ago. We're under $24,000. I was hoping to create a profit, and I do want you to know our staff works very hard to make sure we keep expenses down. When the computers broke, we immediately cut 1 to 2 or 3 shifts from every single lifeguard to kind of offset that $4,000. We were under $24,000. I took the liberty of going through and itemizing additional expenses other than the pool, such as early bird swim, where we brought in some lifeguards, to lifeguards to help out assist in the rec program, locker room cleaning, work around the tennis courts, and I identified all those labor-related items that I know are underneath the pool, but it's not just the pool. It's a lot of areas. So that particular number came up on the conservative side about $21,000 on things that we've been doing such as, I know we put some time into cleaning the kitchen, the weekly maintenance on the tennis courts, cleaning out courts 5 and 6. One number might not be relevant. Tony, cleaning of the locker room, that's under our budget, correct?
Yes,
it
correct.
It is. Okay, so that was an amount that we hire someone for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. Right now, we backed off on that. So there were other items, and I'd be glad. I don't have copies for everyone, but I did a rough analysis about what we did. So even though we were under budget, we didn't meet our budget. Our membership was down. I really believe people loved coming to the pool. Our guest fees were up. The Woodbridge Aquatic Club loved it. Dave Riley said, next year, Mr. Taddy, even if Beecher's open, we want to come back to the pool and rent it for $3,000. So I really hope with some other items, if enhancing the clubhouse, doing some work, maybe that will enhance the pool. I just want you to know we did everything we possibly could.
Well, I'll speak for myself. I have no question about that.
Thank you.
That you did that. Okay, do you want to speak now about the pool rates that you're proposing?
Bob, do you want to take?
Yeah. So, going to give David Lunt credit for this at our last recreation meeting. David recalled the fact that the last 2 years, the pool rates didn't get voted on until fairly late in the spring. It almost created problems from the marketing standpoint in terms of inhibiting Anthony Taddy doing some of the things that he needed to do. So at our last meeting, David Lunt said, wait a minute, maybe we should be voting on the pool rates now so that way we can start that ball moving along. And all we did was we basically approved the same rates that were the previous year. With declining membership, there was no point, in our opinion, to raise the price of the pool because we're trying to gather more members in. So the rates that you see here are basically the same as they were in 2015. We're hoping a couple things kind of take hold, depending on where we're going, obviously, with the club. That the half-year membership, and we had a few people take it this year, but there was nobody who said, "Oh, I'm not going to now do the full year membership. I'm only going to do a half." So we didn't lose anyone that was a full year to a half year. So we were kind of holding our breath on that. That didn't happen. And the other thing I think that we need to do a better job of, and I know myself as a rec commission member, I appreciate all the extra effort that Anthony Taddy puts into the club, and you'll see from time to time some of the other rec commission members will show up and help him just because they know how much extra effort he puts in. And one of the things that we're hoping happens, he's able to spend a little more time on the marketing end, working with Betsy and with some other opportunities, maybe with Beecher Road School and that type of thing, and with the senior center, because we now have a discounted rate for seniors. So hopefully we can benefit from that too.
Can I make a comment on that? I want you to know that I work closely with Mr. Hotchkiss, the chairman of the commission. Deke has his heart in the right spot, and I personally believe that any articles that he wrote were there to put things on the table and to help us out. I personally talked with Tommy Miller. He realizes if golf does better, we do better. If we do better, he does better. Tommy has a huge marketing team that has lots of people on it. He's willing to begin, if the Board of Selectmen approves our rates, beginning immediately this week, he will start helping marketing us, email, targeting different families all over our area, all just to help us out. And to really, I think we just need to nail it. We have a great product. People come and they enjoy it. I don't have a huge marketing team. Betsy helps out every single time I call her. Tony's there to help out every single step of the way. So I think marketing, if Billy Casper can help us with that, that would really accelerate things in the future.
One of the things
just to be clear, so the sheet you gave us on pool rates, nothing on here has changed from last year.
Nothing's changed. No.
Okay.
One of the things that we approved at one of our recent rec meetings was $1,000 to buy an iPad, and the reason for that was, no different. And Ellen, I gave you a tremendous amount of credit when you renegotiated the contract with Casper because their feet is to the fire on the golf side. Okay. One of the things, and there are things that we've learned through this process that we didn't realize it, and. Anthony's jumped in and tried to deal with some of the gaps that it's created to make sure we're supporting him. One of the things that Recreation has said every step of the way is, look, if all the amenities are operating, the pool, the tennis, the food, and he found the vendor for the food, there's a better chance for us to exceed 825 and the town get money back on that end. Without those pieces, the synergy of those pieces, without them there's less likely that those things happen. And so I know earlier tonight when I made the comment up to 175, I was a little upset about that when I saw it because there was misinformation. I wanted to make sure that record was set. But with the iPad, the reason we approved that was one of the things that one of our commissioners pointed out, Jane Chernow, was what was happening was if somebody would come as a guest, and what's happening is, and I look at it as almost like in the movie Dirty Dancing at the end when the two old guys are standing there, how things are changing. Okay, what's happening is the business is changing in that a larger percentage of the business is starting to move to guest memberships. Okay, because people aren't committing to a whole season, so that's kind of how the business model is changing a little bit. So we shouldn't discourage, these types of guest members. But what was happening was we were counting on Casper collecting the fees and collecting the correct fees in the pro shop. They're not accountable for the pool. We are, so they come over and say, well, we purchased so many, and the person at the table, hopefully they know what's going on. By having the iPad right there at the table where they walk in, boom, how many people? Great, swipe your card. We do need to get the Wi-Fi set up with it. So we take responsibility for that so we don't lose members. And we know there were some people that got in that didn't pay the right fee. Well, you can't go back after by the way, they didn't charge you. Jane picked up on some of them. So, we're trying to learn from it, and we're trying to do a better job. We're fortunate. We've tried to do a lot of little things to make the club look nicer. I know a little over a year and a half ago, or whatever it was, in February of 2014, I remember walking through that clubhouse, and that clubhouse, half the lights were out. I couldn't believe it. It was a disgrace. I mean, the clubhouse looks nice now. There's a lot of areas now that do look nice. Obviously, upstairs is not a great situation with the roof that really needs, if we keep the building, whatever. But, our thought on the fees was to maintain the fees. You probably could argue to lower them to gain more customers, but I think that we're already very competitive in the marketplace. I know when some of the comments were made about the sales or whatever, the other clubs, looking at those numbers weren't making money either. So, although they put capital into it. So,
thank you. Are there any questions about the fee sheet? Maria? Sure.
With regards to the swimming pool, I've been going to your meetings. I have a feeling that are you going to be able to open up without some capital improvements before that time?
Okay, so in relation to the biggest capital expenditure that's coming down the road here is replastering the pool. And that decision has to be made when the pool closes for the following season. That ship has sailed for next season. The pool is getting to a point where it's getting to a compromised position where basically what is behind that plaster of the pool will become compromised, where eventually you could lose that pool. So, and that's I think about a $60,000 expense. I know when Tony was working with Anthony on capital budget, they put some other dollars in for heaters and things. I know the heater is replaced in, what year was that?
14 years ago.
14 years ago. So you get a sense for where that's going. But as far as to answer your question, Maria, too, in order for us to open next spring, first of all, we would need to know, fairly early, the end of this year, so we can start working towards it. We certainly wouldn't want to find out in March or April, oh, by the way, we're going to open, because, we lose some momentum there at that point, and that's going to impact our sales. As far as we'll continue doing repairs, and we'll work with Tony as we have in the past in terms of the list of items we hope to get completed for the year. But as far as major capital improvements in terms of the pool being redone, no, we don't see that until the town approves, that in a budget. We'll put it in a budget, and whether or not it happens next year, that remains to be seen. I think that's part of the big strategic question here.
Because didn't I hear that some of your rebars are showing already?
That was mentioned, but in my own personal opinion, that's just an isolated spot.
Oh, okay.
The integrity of the shell is not compromised now.
Good.
Does it need to be done in the future? Absolutely. My last question with Tony is we're working to put the numbers in a capital expense, and hopefully, if we are moving forward, doing the most important item first.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'm going to try to keep my questions to the rates. I do have some additional questions at our future CCW meeting about the pool as a whole. But tonight, as far as the pool rates, I just had a couple. Last year, I believe even the year before, but especially last year, there was an early bird rate offered. I know not that many people participated. Am I to take it there is no early bird this year?
No early bird.
Okay, and then the second question I have.
We have sold one membership though.
Okay.
Already.
Okay, great. And then the second question I have is, now that Recreation has the computer system up and working, and you can register and pay for recreational programs online for the first time, can you pay and sign up for the pool club online through Recreation, or will that be made available so that if somebody, you don't have to wait to an open house, or is that going to be made available online through Recreation if a resident wants to pay and sign up?
I don't have that answer for you, but I would assume that now that we have Rec Track and it's all tied in, yes, anyone that would buy any type of program should be able to buy
That would be very
program
helpful.
through there. Yeah.
Very helpful.
Yeah.
Great.
So-
We have a large number of people that wanted that a couple of years ago.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Anthony,
Yes.
question, either anecdotally or through data, can you share with us why you think you didn't hit your revenue number?
I have a detailed list of about 24 members that did not sign up. That's something that I wouldn't want to share, but I have that information. We lost about 7 or 8 or 9 members to the Woodbridge Club. Our tennis program was not what it was 4 or 5 years ago. We had a tennis pro there that gave lessons. We ran a sports camp and those kind of things. So that was a good chunk of it. Then some other answers, 2 or 3 people moved out of state. A few people built their pools. Another good chunk, about 7 or 8 people, and I know they wouldn't mind me sharing it, the people that I showed in the picture that had kids standing on there, they were members of the country club. They have an opinion that the town should be funding it more, and the rate for a Woodbridge resident should be $500 because they're paying taxes.
To add on,
So that's basically all about 23 members.
to add on to that, Joe, when the pool came to Recreation, and from a resource standpoint, it made sense for it to come to Recreation because we're the only really organization in town that can support the country club. There was also going to be some drawback to that, and that drawback would be the brand that it's under Recreation, which is basically we provide affordable programs to town residents, low cost and to some degree subsidized cost to residents, and it's very difficult, and we've had the discussion so many times before with people when they brought this to us, that the town's running the business, and we have to be profitable if we're going to run this business. It's still, there are a number of people that don't accept that and say, I'm sorry, the town owns it, I should be able to pay less. I understand that, but it's...
I understand that, and I don't want you to
Joe,
think I asked that question in any reflection to you guys. I just wanted to understand,
I think it was
as
those
we make
members were down.
decisions, what's behind that.
And the list that I have, I mean, we could have chosen not to do some of those items, like not nail the tennis courts, not clean up the leaves. I could have just focused on the pool. But it's hard to overlook those items when people come by them and they say they want to play tennis or do this. So we chose to pitch in those areas.
No, I appreciate, and we all appreciate
Yeah.
that, and applaud you for that. Lastly, when I look, and I know these are last year's, and I remember when we approved it and voted on it, and there was some concern raised from at least one resident with respect to the single. And I remember thinking at the time that I can't reconcile those single membership numbers with the rest of them to approve them. I mean, I actually didn't approve them at the time. I just can't reconcile. So my question is, and they are what they are, but did we lose any singles because of that? No, okay.
Joe, the actual, part of our strategic thinking in the singles, it was good that member actually, it wasn't a member at the time, complained. Okay, even though she was threatening a lawsuit and that type of thing, and she came to our meeting and said, look, I'm going to look past that, and we had a dialogue with her and said, the reality is you've probably pointed out an opportunity to us because there were only 7 single members anyway, and there were only 7 couples. So wait a minute, maybe there's an opportunity here. Maybe there's a business opportunity for us to attract more single members and more couple members. The reality is that particular person, based on their age, would qualify for a $560 membership. Okay, so because of the discounts and that type of thing. So.
Right, it just when you look at it, it doesn't flow with the rest of the.
So you think they should be less?
Lower.
Lower. Well,
And I don't know if that
Right.
means more memberships or anything,
Right.
but if I'm single and I'm looking at those, I'm questioning why am I paying that kind of money?
Well, if you notice, the single membership was dropped to $700.
Yeah.
It previously was $900.
Right, but it's still out of whack, percentage-wise. Because if I go to a couple, it's $1,000.
Yeah.
In a family, you just can't do the math. The math doesn't come out. I'm not suggesting it has to or should, but it would raise concern to me because as a single member, I think I'm overpaying percentage-wise.
so what would you make it, Joe? Like you say, it sticks out. What would you suggest that us making that?
I would lower it to $500 or $600.
The flip side of that would be, hey, honey, if you sign up too, it's only $300 more, or to get There's a number of ways to look at it. If you look at a number of the clubs in the area, I mean, our fees our fees are a lot cheaper. I mean, I think the Woodbridge Club is like $1,100 or $1,200 for the same product, and there's very little discount between single, and so we're actually pretty low to
I
start
haven't
with.
done that market research, and I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying when it jumps off the page at me, and I understand the flip side, but if the couple resident at $1,000, if you were $600, you're still getting a deal.
Correct.
If you're $500, it just equals out. But to me, if they both want to use the pool, I don't think they're making the decision. It's only $300 to add the wife, or the significant other.
If your questions are answered, I think we should move on from that issue. We
Yeah.
have quite a bit left on the agenda, and I don't think we'll resolve it. Obviously, it's an art more than a science to come up with these numbers.
And we're open to, we're now in October, so
Right.
we now have a number of months to deal with having this discussion. I mean, last year we didn't come and say, we want to lower the single rates, but we could have dialogue on it. Susan, I know you had a question too.
Anything,
I
Susan?
just may have missed this as I stepped out. Did your Recreation Commission approve these rates?
Mhm.
Fine.
Anything else for tonight? If not, thank you very much for very
Thank you,
informative.
and thank you for all the support that the town is able to provide us. I know it's a very difficult issue, and we're pleased that hopefully we'll get to an answer.